right, here we go for another one. This is another one of our 12 by 15 inch blocks. So I have 12 by 15 marked. And on this one, I have marked my diagonals and then my vertical and horizontal. On my vertical and horizontal lines, I have marked 5 inches from the center. So 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches, 5 inches. On my diagonals, I have marked 3 inches. 3, 3, 3, 3. For this particular one, we're going to use the 12-inch arc, the 4-inch arc, and your Spinifex number 4. These are the 4 rulers you need for this one. We're going to start with the 12-inch arc. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up my thread at the 5-inch mark. And then I'm going to take my 12-inch arc and I'm going to make sure I'm gapping off a 1/4 inch. And I'm not going to bother with my seam gauge because I'm pretty good at that at this point. So there you go. And I'm going to use my 12-inch arc and I'm going to go from here to there. Okay, so now I'm there, and now I'm going to go back up to the 5-inch mark. And now I'm going to come back down to the 3-inch mark. So I'm in effect making some large flower petal looking things. I'm going to keep doing that all the way around. With my 12-inch arc, I'm going from the 5-inch mark to the 3-inch mark. Turn that so I can see where I'm going. I should land right where I started. Okay, so that's the first part. I've got that done. And now the next thing I'm going to do is take a break. Do what now? Center fat part. Oh. Okay, God, I didn't know what my own notes mean. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and bring up my thread here. And we're going to call this particular part a day. And now I'm going to go to the center and before I bring my thread up, because that would be kind of silly, I'm going to put my Spinifex number 4 in there, and then I'm going to bring my thread up in the center. Okay. Now on the Spinifex number 4, what I'm going to do is I'm going to center the fat bottom of it on my foot with my needle at the center mark. And I'm going to make a flower petal. I'm going to stop right back at the center again. And now, as usual, you do north, south, east, west. That's how you do this. So I've got it centered again. And now I'm doing the other side. Stopping in the center. Now I'm going to do east-west. I'm using the lines on the center of my ruler to make sure I'm centered. come around, and actually I'm going to go ahead and cut this thread because we've stitched 50 times over the top of that. I don't need to bury that. It's secure. Back to the center. And now I'm going to use those diagonal lines that we drew. And again, I'm going to do 180. So I'm going to do one side. Like so. And then I'm going to turn it around. I'm going to do the other side. And then I'm going to go and do the remaining two sides. We got an awful lot of stitching in the middle here, so I'm not bringing up or burying threads. I'm just going to cut there. And call that a day. Okay, so there's our center. And I'll bury these tails over here later. Okay, now we are going to work with the 4-inch arc. And you're going to bring your thread up at the depression or the intersection here, the low point of your large petal. So I'm bringing thread up here. And then starting with my needle down, as you always should. And I'm going to take this and I am going to stitch around and I'm going to stop at the point of my star that I made in the center. So I'm going to come like this. And then I'm going to come back out here to this depression out here. Right there. And then I'm going to go back in to the next point, star point. And then I'm going to come back out here. And then I'm coming to the next point. And back out. And to my last point. And back out where I started. Okay, so you should be right where you started. So now I got this design going on. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to echo these lines in here. I'm not coming out here. I'm just doing these lines in here. And I'm going to put the first line on my 4-inch arc on that stitch line like so. Just like that. And then I'm going to echo out here. So that means I need to travel a little bit until that lines up, which is just about right there. So I'm going to go to the center. I'm going to come over here. Remember how I said I'm not going outside? Okay, so I'm not going to go outside. So now I'm going to travel back down like that, and then travel out this one until I can do the same thing again. Okay, coming to the center line. So, and coming out. Now I'm going to travel. one stitch too far. Okay, now I'm coming back to the center line and coming back out. And I have one more set of traveling to do. Like so. And like so. All right, and notice I did not go out here, so I just echoed inside here. All right, now we're gonna move on to the next step, which I have to look up. Echo around 1/2 inch, first line on stitch line, don't go outside. Echo around large petals, use first line, 12-inch arc. Backtrack at intersections, do not echo. So, okay. All right, I'm just gonna cut these off because they're distracting. Okay. All right, so now we're going to use our 12-inch arc again. That's this one. And we're going to take the first line on the 12-inch arc, put it on our stitch line from before. And I haven't broken thread. I just left where I was before. And now we're going to echo these petals on the outside. So I'm going to come out to this line. And then one more stitch. And then I'm going to come in and pay attention to what I'm doing in this depression. Okay, so I'm coming in here, and this should, theoretically, and it did, meet up with that stitch line. Now I'm going to come back, I'm going to travel back in, and then back out to this other stitch line. And theoretically, that should line up, and it does. And I'll show you what that makes in just a second. Come back out and see what that did right in there. It made us a little kind of a crosshatch kind of looking thing. Okay, and I'm going to do that all the way around. Again, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to travel. Come back to that other one. Now I'm going to echo this one. Traveling again. I'm just going to cut these off. This time, I don't have to backtrack because I already started over there, so I've got it done. And I just cut my thread, we're not going to worry about it. The next thing you're going to do with the 12-inch arc is you are going to straight line quilt this every inch in your background. So start in your center. Bring my thread up. I didn't actually have to do that because I'm outside my seam allowance, but that's okay. Okay, so I just double stitched that rather than cut thread. And just as a reminder, I'm outside my stitch line, so I'm just traveling over. When I put my third line on that first stitch line, I'm now an inch away. Keep that lined up with that center line, and that'll make sure your lines line up top and bottom. two ways you can do this. You can travel around the outside, or you can just go back out. I choose to go back out. And I'll just go around. Again, I'm on the third line. That puts me an inch away. And if you make sure you're lined up real well on your previous stitch line, your lines are going to stay straight. So you don't need to watch me do this, but go ahead and finish out 1 inch this way, and then you're going to do 1 inch this way, and then you're going to do the bottom, and then that completes this block.